Tabcorp for?
No, I'm just thinking about getting into it, buying
Just thinking of getting into it. Okay, sure. Look, diversification is very, very important, obviously. I like the stock. It had a fairly tough fall from grace, but in terms of where it's going, I think it's a stock which, as you know, does have a fairly good income potential. It does pay a solid dividend. Any growth from these levels is going to see your personal dividend exceptional. Remember, when you are calculating your own dividend, it's not really based on what you'd see from a dividend yield projection where it's looking at yesterday's share price. You look at your personal share price. So if we see it back above that 360 mark, then certainly you'll be doing very, very well, and I think there's a lot of potential upside there. Of course, Tabcorp's not the sort of stock that I would have most of my portfolio leveraged to. The gambling side of things, it's a very competitive industry. It's also a very highly regulated industry, but from an income perspective and a diversification perspective, I think a very, very solid portion to have on your portfolio anyway. But Gary, what's your views on Tabcorp?
Yeah, pretty similar actually. I mean, look, traditionally, if there is all this talk about double dip and slow down, obviously everyone's adjusting their the numbers economically. So typically, your gambling stocks outperform in those sort of type of times and periods. So I think now that you've had the split here with Tabcorp and the Echo. So I think that the high yield there's got to be pretty attractive there. So to me, I mean, I do a lot of covered calls, so this is sort of right up my alley. It's quite cheap down the bottom of the range, going to yield quite high sort of dividend yield on its own. So I've got the ability to write sort of calls every time it has a bit of a strong run. It looks pretty decent to me. So yeah.
Sure, and